Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
The universe delivers what we need.
Yes. It is up to us to accept it.
And that is something that takes practice learning.
Yeah. Like till this day, I still struggle with accepting money. Unless I know it is like a business exchange. For example, my transformational coaching sessions, there's a price on that. Service, exchange.
Yep.
Another, we are doing this podcast. There's a way to donate to the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. That's a way to receive. And then continue to do a mission, right?
Right.
Change. I almost fought this guy who was trying to give me $4,000. Then he gave me the waiver and I received. But it's very...
Right. But energetically, it still felt off for you until you felt like you had balanced out the energy.
Exactly. Even to this day, people are like, how can I support you? And I could say to them like, hey, I would need a private loan to expand my business, or I need an investor to expand my business. But I feel weird about it. And that's different.
Right. Because I agree. It feels weird to ask for something when it feels like what you're offering in return does not have the same value. What I'm learning is that there's more value to what I'm offering in return than what I even realize.
Yes. Yeah. There's like for one of my coaching programs, I've seen somebody who looked like they were falling apart, literally apart. And I just had a face-to-face bite-sized session with them yesterday. They look like they're glowing.
Kind of like you a couple weeks ago.
Hey, proof it works. But it was definitely, thank you very much. It was definitely like one of those situations where I'm like, oh, the work I can do for somebody, like, yeah, the expanse makes sense. And like for the people that I'm healing, these are people that are doing great for society as well, right? So these are people that are the CEOs of nonprofits. These are the people that are incredibly mission-based. These are the people that are trying to solve homelessness in Los Angeles. There's been a lot of attempts. These are the individuals that are just like going against the grain. And that takes a lot of energy to support. To coach and to heal any of the traumatic experiences that come along the way of change.
And that is something that we sometimes think we have control over, but we don't.
We don't. And it's okay. It is not okay to give up on that conviction. So there's a quote and from one of my favorite books. It's called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And he mentions man cannot, and man, I mean humanity, man cannot directly change his circumstances, but he can change his thoughts and thereby indirectly change his circumstances. Yeah. If you're listening to this, I'm so sorry, you might sleep for the next 2 days. That's an energetic upgrade for you. Just that statement alone. So understanding that sense, that means you can program your mindset and therefore change your thoughts. And then your thoughts manifest your circumstances. So once you change your thoughts, you can change your circumstances. You can change the different ways that you different ways that you handle your finances. You can change the different ways that you can deal with others and people. There's other, like all of these different types of paradigms, these smaller paradigms that have been programmed. You can deprogram and program with a new update. Don't get me wrong, you're going to need a lot of sleep.
Yes. Because it's a lot of energy moving around.
It's a lot of energy. It's like a laptop.
It's like any piece of electronically. Sometimes you need to turn it off
so it can
and
update.
let it rest. So then that way it can update.
We made computers, right? So they're the reflection of us. There you go, folks. Like in order
all technology is a reflection of humans. Technology is just an extension of what it is that we ourselves can do.
Exactly. And thereby you can, instead of like changing the laptop here and now, you can go into the back office and then change the programming, thinking this as a human. And if anybody is a techie out there, you can change the programming, debug the system, or optimize the system to in a totally different OS. Let the laptop sleep, let it wake up. And now you can play every game on the planet. Woo-hoo!
And it doesn't take a lot to do that kind of a big shift.
It doesn't, but it does take a lot of processing. So that's something that people should understand. It's like once you make that shift, which I believe a lot of us already have, yeah, sleep is your best friend.
And journaling.
Yeah, journaling. And therapy. Lots of therapy. Lots of therapy with the right people.
Okay. I was gonna say we need to clarify that just a little bit.
You do need the right therapist. So like a lot of people have been utilizing, and I'm not saying that traditional therapy isn't useful. I am saying it is useful if it is the right person.
And if it's a right fit for you.
Yes.
Because you could be speaking to the number one expert in the entire world, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you.
Exactly.
Been there, done that. That's why what I do is a blend of multiple things, because I had to do a blend of multiple things to take care of me. There's no one true way to do anything.
Same. And funny enough, when Katie saw me and I made the blend for myself, that's like we're doing wine. I made the blend.
Or essential oils or spices in the kitchen. I mean, there's a couple different options here.
There's a couple different options. And the thing is, there is an aspect to that entire blend of healing modalities that some people aren't open to. And thereby, if you're open to certain ways of being, a good portion of the time, the right healer
will show up.
But if you're not open to it, it's not going to work for you.
And more traditional methods might.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Not all therapists do this, and I'm really happy about this. But the therapist that coddles and validates you, that doesn't help you grow. We need to talk about that and how we can actually implement a new standard there. Because I feel so bad for the people paying monthly for zero results and just this illusion of feeling okay.
Agreed. If you are not getting results, go somewhere else. Because if you were taking your car to a mechanic and you had to keep going back to that same mechanic for the same issue that was never getting fixed, you got a crappy mechanic. So you go somewhere else. It's the same thing with your mental health. If you are seeing a therapist, a counselor, a trained professional, and you've been seeing that same individual for more than a year, and there has been no improvement, you might want to consider getting another opinion.
Agreed. And the really big important thing for me is like, even I have faults, right? So if a client does come to me and let's say they see results within the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of any of my programs, great, great. But if they start teetering off by the fourth or the fifth or the sixth, there's something there that hasn't worked for them. And it could be that they weren't open to the ways that I was, the other additional ways to heal with me, right? Because that wasn't the case, it's kind of like, well, I can't take your money for the second half. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it's the same thing as to, I have seen where coaches have fired clients.
I'm probably
because
that today.
Because there have been clients who, they're in it, and then they stop doing the program or the process or whatever it is, but still want the weekly coaching phone calls.
And that's not how that works.
And that's not how it works.
Yeah, I'm actually, I actually have to do that today. Person's program actually ended, I think 2 weeks ago. And they haven't been seeing the results. And it's more, it has nothing to do with like, hey, I can't get you to the results. It's I gave you everything I could. You just couldn't receive, you didn't do the work in order to receive the results.
Right.
If you want to renew, you can, and then we can do it again. But I don't advise it unless you commit to changing.
And this is, again, where the control comes in, because you have control over your actions. We can't make you do what we recommend for you to do based on our training, based on our intuitive gifts, or based on whatever your intuitive gifts are.
But we can be compassionate and make sure that we don't keep like,
we're not going to coddle you.
All right, that's a big, all right, let's talk about that too. So ladies and gentlemen, I look soft and sweet and adorable. I ain't gonna coddle you. If you're really like looking to take your life to a new level, to transform, to enjoy who you really can be, right? That comes with strict, and I'm going to say compassionate. Compassionate isn't coddling. Compassionate advice, and compassion could be tough love.
Yeah.
It's anything to do with respecting the needs of both individuals. It's not just one person in like charity. That does nothing for anybody, in my opinion. If you are doing this way of business with somebody, right? If you are working with anybody on a level that is supporting or creating growth, those really difficult conversations are important. And if you can figure out a way to compassionately communicate, you will both win in the end.
And it's not that we don't want to see you to continue to succeed.
Yeah, we definitely do. Like,
we want you to.
Yeah. At some point.
But it's just like there is no magic bullet. There is no magic pill. There is no magic switch. There is no magic button. We talk about magic wands, but there is no snap of your fingers and it's instantly fixed.
Exactly. And I can be very honest about like, there are certain things where I'm like, okay, so this can be done differently. but like, there's no way around it. Like, here's what you can do, but you will feel fulfilled afterwards.
Right.
So interesting. I channeled that last message. So I'm actually not, when you're channeling and you're just like, here it goes, it'll flow. And then you want to understand exactly what you said. We can't call it back.
That's the beauty of it being recorded, darling.
Yay. That's great. Compassionate communication. Additionally, with like, if I can't help you, we want you to succeed, I can refer you to somebody else who can help you succeed on the level in which you need that next level of support. If it's not me, that's fine.
Agreed. And it's one of those that you have, one of the things that took me a long time to realize is that I had to believe that I am working with the best people in the world. And once I grew enough and they were no longer what I needed, the next best person came in to help me.
I'm actually going to write that down. I am working with the best people in the world. Have you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask this to everybody in the audience, and you can, I know you're not going to be able to answer me right now, but have you ever done a life script of affirmations?
A life script of affirmations.
Oh, yeah.
I have not heard that term before.
All right. I will say that again. I am working with the best people in the world.
And I have the best clients in the world. How do I know? Because they are the ones that I have right now.
Thank you, Katie Miller.
You're welcome.
You know what? You just solved my client problem. Thank you.
I'm glad. But no, this is something that I actually adopted. I will say I stole this content from my mom. But
I mean,
I had permission. Okay, I had permission. But I had to believe that I was working with my mom as my coach, that I was working with the best in the world before I was open to working with somebody else. And it took, I mean, granted, whenever you work directly with family, there is nuances in saying, okay, I've outgrown you and I'm moving on.
The family is a little different.
Family is very different when it comes to the I've grown and I'm moving on.
Yeah. You can pick your friends, not your family.
Yeah. But then there are conversations where it's like, oh, you've outgrown me. Okay, go. But I had to believe that I was working with the best people in the world. And what happened? I was introduced to people who were better.
Same.
And then I worked with them. And then I was introduced to more people who were better. And then I started working with them. And because the universe wasn't going to provide me the mentor I needed until I was ready to get there. And I wasn't ready to get there until I realized that I was working with the best that I was capable of working with at that time.
Wow. Okay. So let me just add this to the new life script. I am working with the best people in the world, and I am working with the best clients in the world. Okay. Now, this is what I was saying about a new life script, or like a life script of affirmations.
Okay.
I'm going to put this on volume. I listen to this almost every morning. I've missed 1 or 2 last week. Sorry, John Tallarico. But I've results coach. But here it is. Check it out.
I am safe. I am vindicated. I am protected.
Right. That's part of it. And then here's the other one. I kind of want to just like, so I have.
You have an audio file of your evidence.
Yes, audio file of all of this. And then like.
World-class business. And my life is getting better and better every day.
Right. There's a bunch of these. I don't want to give too much away, but essentially I'll listen to this while like I'm brushing my teeth, like while I'm getting ready, so that I'm reprogramming my mindset. Like I'm reprogramming that part of my mind that's trying to believe otherwise. A lot of that has like the premise of I am so happy and grateful now that I am earning XYZ, stuff like that. Yep. All of those thoughts being, and it takes consistency. So being able to do this every day, being able to reprogram that way, and then it brings you to a new level. And Katie just brought me to a new level today because she gave me a new affirmation to listen to every day.
And I'm glad that that is one that will help empower you and empower anyone else who is listening to it. And what you did with the audio file is part of the process that I use with my empowerment workbook and my empowerment workshop that I teach, because I help people take their limiting belief, flip it into an empowering decision, and then list all of the evidence that shows that that decision is true. And one of the activities is to read that list of evidence out loud and record it on their phone so they can listen to it multiple times during the day.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
you got a journal where all your evidence is listed and written down. So you have it in writing. And then you have an audio file with all of your evidence listed. So then you can listen to it.
Exactly.
And it just helps reaffirm it in multiple directions. So I think that it's fantastic. Someone else is using a similar tool in helping people get the message where they're hearing themselves say it.
Yeah, and a good portion of it. So like, even if you don't believe it at first, like for instance, if I wrote down, I am so happy and grateful now that I earned $100,000 a month easily and effortlessly, multiple sources of income, that type of affirmation, even if you don't believe it at first, if you just keep listening to it.
Okay, well, we'll start with someone that's just a little bit, not even more manageable. One that was very difficult for me. I am grateful to pay my bills each month.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I am so happy and grateful to pay my bills on time or even early, or take out even early.
Being able to say that without grinding my teeth was really, really, really hard. But I've said it enough times that I know that I can write a check to pay my electric bill and not have to check to see if I have more money than month.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've built up that positivity that, yes, I know the universe will provide me with more money coming in than month.
Yeah. You know what else? I love you
And
saying.
now I'm getting to the point as to where you are, where I am easily making 10 grand, 50 grand, however much a month I want. So I'm working on that statement yet. I don't know what the dollar amount's going to be yet, but
So
that's next on my list.
So I was actually told, like, I didn't start with 100 grand. I did not. I absolutely did.
That's what I'm saying. Let's start with something a little bit smaller.
You can start with smaller. You can. I started actually with like 10 grand a month, or even less than that. I started with like, I am so happy and grateful now that I received 4 times the amount to get my car out of the impound. Like, it was
Honey, mine's
don't keep that one.
No. Yeah, don't stick with it. Keep it growing, because I started with the I am grateful to have money to pay my bills each month, to I am making a minimum of 5 grand a month, to I am making a minimum of 10 grand a month. So it's changing, it's ever evolving. And I found that for me, when I say it and it makes me feel uncomfortable,
that's when
that's when I know that that's the sweet spot. That's the one I need to focus on.
100 grand right now for me is the sweet spot.
Because if I say right now that I want to make 100 grand a month, I'm feeling like I'm off in fairyland. There's nothing like, oh, is that possible? I need to have that little bit of,
I mean, you're gonna grow. You actually need the sweet spot.
Yeah, you need that little bit of uncomfortableness to know that you are in a sense of growing versus a sense of fantasy or a sense of devastation.
Yes. So if you overshoot, sometimes you can destroy your confidence. You can.
Yeah.
But all right. So the reason why I get like, we're going to be real about that. You can destroy your confidence. The thing is, you got to keep going. So
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like, don't stop. Whatever you do not stop. Once you stop, you become stagnant.
Exactly. And that's the problem. So I remember somebody was falling back on old paradigms with me, and I went, you can't do that with me. You know why? Because I'm not going to be a good coach for you if I let you do that. Because once you fall back a little bit, you've already kind of like, all right, within the first 18 days of breaking a habit, if you fall back within those 18 days, do you know what happens?
You reinforce the old habit.
Exactly. And it's going to be harder to create that new paradigm again. I mean, just by this much. Like, once you push through all 18 days, then you're good to go.
And it sometimes will take longer than 18 days.
It might. The thing that I say about this 18th day is because the 17th day is the hardest day in breaking a habit. It's usually when your old paradigms come to attack the crud out of you to bring you back.
I could say yes or no. And the only reason that I say that is because I actually recently read that it could take anywhere between 18 and 268 days to break a habit and
Really?
create a new one, to do it automatically without thinking about it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So for some people, it might be 18 days. For some people, it may be 200 days, which is why I'm saying don't stop.
Yeah. It also depends. So like the programming, right? For instance, it's so interesting that you say minimum of blank, right?
Yep.
I don't put minimum in there. I actually put, I am so happy and grateful that I am earning X amount or more, so that
Right.
we never hit that bottom number.
Right.
Yeah. Or sooner.
Or sooner is a really good one, because that's one that a lot of things have shown up in my life because I've said or sooner.
Yeah. For instance, well, there's something that came a little bit sooner than I expected. I remember I was like, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm taking my business to the next level, or like by X or sooner. And it was like last week. And I went, okay, hold on. Wait, hold up. But the universe does provide when you're ready. So regardless if you're scared of the impending change or the change that already just shocked your system, you're ready.
And if you do fall back a little bit, one, it's not the end of the world. You are just resting.
I agree.
But as you rest, realize you do not rest for more than 24 hours. And then you go forward again.
Yeah. Or it could be like me, where I just went through like several upgrades and I slept 12 to 14 hours every day this week. That I've never done that, ladies and gentlemen. When I went to that beautiful event by LA Style Magazine, that award ceremony, oh my gosh, the amount of value that was in that event. Thank you very much, Trisha. We're going to shout you out here. Trisha Love, absolutely amazing CEO of LA Style Magazine, brought all these mission-based, heart-centered entrepreneurs into this space, and all their value, everything that they were really delivering and bringing to the table. I knew I was going to sleep I didn't think it was going to be a full week, but like there was a lot to process. And it's sometimes like I couldn't even connect the dots some days, because I was just like, why did I meet this person? What is the purpose of this? Was it because there's always a purpose to everything, right? What was the purpose of creating this connection? What are we going to do? Sometimes we don't know.
And in that feeling of not knowing is a feeling of not being in control.
Oh, I think it's exciting.
But you still have control over what you're doing in that particular moment. Even if you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You don't need to know. You just need to know what's going on right now.
And the people in that room knew that. That was the fun part. It's like there was no impatience. It was like,
that's lovely.
Oh, it was so, because everyone there was to a level like intuitive of some degree, or they've had some experiences where they knew, like, we don't know how this is going to unfold, but let's keep the conversations going, because we know it's going to unfold somehow. We just don't know what yet. And it was like, kind of like you and I, Katie, when we didn't know how we were going to work together, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, we knew something was going to happen. We just didn't know how. We didn't know why. We didn't know when. We just knew something.
And those three things right there, you don't need to know.
Yeah.
You actually really don't need to know that. I think that is the most empowering advice I could tell anyone, because a lot of people try to control the how, the why, the when, and you can actually stop yourself from receiving probably the best outcome of your life.
Yes, because during that point in time will be the moment where the mentor comes in, or the ideal client comes in, or the ideal project. Something will come in during that time, but you're so busy focused on the who, what, where, when, why, how, you don't see it.
Yeah, let me give you an example of this, and like a very I agree with you 100%, Katie. So I want to provide a tangible example of what this is. For example, My editor and my illustrator, we created this journal called the Bounce Back Survival Guide, right? At the time, I met somebody on the street in LA who was going through struggles being homeless. And he had a child 3 days before I met him. His girlfriend was in a homeless shelter. He was in a homeless shelter. He was still trying to figure out how to make ends meet and provide for his family. And the way I met him was, he walked down the street. He was like, hey, I need $25 just for a storage unit. And he gave me the purpose, right? When I heard the purpose, I knew he wasn't just begging for money. There was something there. A good portion of the time, I had no idea what the heck was going on. I was just like, I have $25 cash for the first time in my life in my wallet. I was actually told never to, it's such a millennial thing. I don't carry cash. I don't ever usually give out cash. And this time, because it was the exact amount of what he needed, I was like, okay. Sat down with him at a coffee shop, learned his story, then continued to results coach him for 3 weeks. Yep. Results coach, like give him the practical skills he needs to attain specific goals to get him and his girlfriend and his child out of being homeless and into a place to live with a job. He didn't have a social security card on him at that time. Can you believe this? 3 weeks it took him. The 17th day was when all hell broke loose on him. Like there was like a big incident where he could have gone to jail, and he called me like, hey, right? And I was like, wow, okay. Let me coach you through this. I coached him through it. And then my record of that entire time with him is in this new survival guide. Not him specifically, but what I taught him.
Right.
I actually saw him like a couple months later, and I gave him the survival guide. And I was like, thank you so much. I wrote this. And it's still in PDF form, but the idea was like, okay, we can take this and we can solve homelessness somehow. And it kind of fell apart. So like during the West Hollywood election, some of the council members that I wanted to work with, they were not reelected. I even worked with a Rand fellow to help connect me to the right politicians to get this initiative going. Then all of a sudden, there was a component that was missing. And I knew I didn't want to run this. It wasn't my mission, but the idea was something I could create. And that was interesting. So I created the idea of having this survival guide paired with a type of initiative where you would have mentors go into the communities and actually help people and educate them on these practical skills that have been lacking in education across the United States, and educate them out of homelessness, right? It's
Makes
like,
sense to me.
Yeah, it's like, don't throw somebody a fish when you can teach them how to fish, right? I'm paraphrasing the parable, but
right.
Essentially that was the idea. And then as I was speaking to the Rand fellow, she gave me all this data and understanding of why it's so important to create this type of initiative, because it helps with the caseworkers who are just basically throwing sandwiches at people because they don't have time to work with people individually to get them. So with that statement, 2 years later, that entire project was put on hold for whatever reason. And then I met somebody at that event last week that wants to do this type of initiative and has the resources and has somebody who wants to run it. And I went, you never know the how, the when, and the why.
Yeah. And you don't need to know. The right person for the job will show up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just up to us to create the content.
Yes, and the space.
And someone else will show up and be like, okay, I am ready to take your content and take it out into the world.
Right. And Katie, remember when I was like, I'm creating this thing. I have these pieces, but I don't have this. Could you? Oh, you have it. Yay.
It's amazing. And it's just a way to help get it out into the world. And it's the same thing with the stuff for the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. You know, we have the Talk That Saves Lives. We have the Why Not Workbook. We have all of these, the talk to stop self-sabotage, to stop bullying, to stop negative thinking. And there's one other one, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But we have all of these scripts, these guides, these workbooks, and we're ready to get them out into the world. I don't know how to do that.
See, that's where I'm coming in now.
But that's where you're coming in, because you're connecting me with people. It's like, so this person over here in California would like to do it. And I met somebody when I was in Egypt. They're like, I'm over here in New England and I know somebody who wants to do it. And so it's like, okay, let's talk. Let's see who we need to ship stuff to.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.